The classroom smelled like chalk and cheap cleaning liquid. Yuna sat at her desk near the window and stared at the math test in front of her. The numbers looked like a foreign language. 6 months ago, she could hack into alien computer systems. Today, she could not remember how to solve. Around her, 32 students wrote their answers quickly. Pencils scratched against paper. Someone coughed. The clock on the wall made a ticking sound that reminded her of a bomb timer. She closed her eyes and took a slow breath. She was back. She was safe. This was just a math test. The teacher, Mr. Park, walked between the desks with his hands behind his back. He paused near Yuna and looked at her blank paper. His eyebrows moved up slightly, but he said nothing and continued walking. Yuna picked up her pencil. Her hand was shaking. These same hands had held plasma rifles. These same fingers had typed the detonation code that destroyed the Vel mothership. She had saved 8 billion people, and none of them knew it. Now she could not do basic multiplication. The bell rang. Students stood up and handed in their papers. Yuna wrote her name at the top and turned in the empty test. Mr. Park looked at it, then looked at her, but again he said nothing. In the hallway, students moved like a river of uniforms. Yuna pressed her back against the wall and scanned for exits. 2 on the left, 1 on the right. Windows could be broken if necessary. She counted the people around her. 37. No weapons visible. No threats detected. She caught herself and shook her head. Stop it, she told herself. These are teenagers. They are not enemies. Yuna. She turned fast, her body dropping into a fighting stance. A girl with short hair and a bright smile jumped back in surprise. Whoa, the girl said. It's just me, Jiho, remember? Yuna forced her muscles to relax. Sorry, you surprised me. Jiho tilted her head and studied her old friend. Are you okay? You look ... different. Different. That was one word for it. Yuna had left this school as a normal 17-year-old girl who liked video games and sweet bread. She had come back as something else. Something broken in ways she could not explain. I'm fine, Yuna said. Just tired. Jiho nodded slowly. She did not look convinced, but she was kind enough not to push. Well, I'm glad you're back. 6 months is a long time. That illness must have been really bad. Illness. That was the cover story. A rare blood disease that required special treatment in a facility far away. The government had created fake medical records, fake doctor reports, fake everything. The lie was perfect. Only Yuna knew the truth. It was hard, Yuna said. This part was not a lie. They walked together toward the cafeteria. Jiho talked about everything Yuna had missed. A new teacher who was very strict. A boy named Tai-Ho who became class president. A girl named Hana who had become the most popular person in school. Yuna listened, but did not really hear. Her eyes kept moving, checking corners, watching shadows. The cafeteria was loud. Too loud. Yuna flinched at the sound of a tray dropping. Her heart beat faster. Sweat formed on her palms. She remembered the sound of explosions, the screams of dying soldiers, the moment when the mothership's core began to collapse. Yuna? Are you listening? She blinked. What? Jiho sighed. I asked what food you want. Anything. I don't care. They found a table in the corner. Yuna sat with her back to the wall so she could see the entire room. Old habit? Dangerous habit. She needed to stop, but she did not know how. A group of girls walked past their table. The one in front was tall and beautiful with perfect hair and expensive shoes. She looked at Yuna and smiled, but it was not a kind smile. Oh, you're back, the girl said. I almost forgot about you. What was it again? Some kind of disease? Hana, Jiho said in a warning voice. Leave her alone. Hannah ignored her. She looked at Yuna's simple clothes and messy hair. You look terrible. Did they not have mirrors at that hospital? The other girls laughed. Yuna felt something dark rise inside her. In her mind, she saw exactly how to take Hannah down. A quick strike to the throat. A sweep of the legs. 3 seconds and it would be over, but she did not move. She just sat there, hands flat on the table, breathing slowly. Hannah seemed disappointed by the lack of reaction. Whatever. Try not to spread your disease to the rest of us. She walked away with her friends, their laughter echoing behind them. I hate her, Jiho said. She got worse while you were gone. Don't let her bother you. Yuna nodded. Her hands were still shaking. Not from fear. From the effort of holding herself back. After lunch, she went to the bathroom and locked herself in a stall. She sat on the toilet and put her head in her hands. The walls felt too close. The air felt too thick. She could still hear the Vel commander's last words before she killed him. You are just one human, he had said. What can one human do? She had shown him what one human could do. She had destroyed his ship, killed his soldiers, and ended his invasion. But now, sitting in a high school bathroom, she did not feel like a hero. She felt like a broken thing, pretending to be normal. Her phone buzzed. She looked at the screen. A message from an unknown number, but she recognized the code. Integration is your new mission. Don't fail. Our Commander Ren. Even now, even after everything, he was giving her orders. She wanted to throw the phone against the wall. She wanted to scream. Instead, she took a deep breath and typed a reply. Understood. She stood up, looked at herself in the mirror, and tried to recognize the girl looking back at her. Somewhere under the dark circles and the haunted eyes, old Yuna still existed. She had to believe that the afternoon classes were a blur. History, science, literature. Teachers talked and students took notes. Yuna sat quietly and pretended to pay attention. But her mind was somewhere else. It was on a burning ship in orbit around Earth. It was in a dark room where she made the choice to sacrifice everything. When the final bell rang, she walked out of the school alone. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Beautiful, peaceful, the kind of sky that made people forget there was ever any danger. But Yuna remembered. She would always remember. She had saved the world. Now she had to figure out how to live in it. 2 weeks passed, and Yuna learned that returning to normal life was harder than any battle she had ever fought. Every day was the same. Wake up, go to school, pretend to be a regular student, come home, lie in bed staring at the ceiling, sleep if the nightmares allowed it, repeat. The other students had moved on without her. They had inside jokes she did not understand. They talked about events she had missed. They looked at her like she was a stranger, wearing a familiar face. Maybe she was. Jiho tried her best to include Yuna in everything. She invited her to lunch, shared her notes, and filled the silence with cheerful conversation. But even Jiho could feel the wall between them. Yuna was present in body, but absent in spirit. Do you want to go shopping this weekend? Jiho asked one day. There's a new store that sells really cute bags. Yuna tried to imagine caring about bags. 6 months ago, she would have said yes without thinking. Now the idea seemed pointless. What was the purpose of a cute bag when she had seen the darkness between stars? Maybe, she said. I'll let you know. Jiho's smile flickered. You always say that. I know. I'm sorry. At night, Yuna sat alone in her room and stared at the wall, covered with old posters. Pop singers and movie stars smiled back at her. These had been her heroes once. Now they seemed childish. She knew what real heroism cost. It cost everything. Her phone buzzed with another message from Commander Wren. Status report required. She typed back. Still alive. Still pretending. His reply came quickly. Pretending is the mission. Perfect. She wanted to ask him how. How was she supposed to pretend that everything was normal? How was she supposed to care about grades and social drama when she had watched good soldiers die in her arms? But she did not ask. She knew he would not have an answer. The next day at school, something changed. Tae-ho, the class president, approached her during break time. He was tall and serious, with sharp eyes that seemed to see everything. Yuna had noticed him watching her before. Now he stood in front of her desk with his arms crossed. "Can I ask you something?" he said. Yuna kept her face neutral. "What? Where did you really go for 6 months?" Her heart beat faster, but she did not show it. "I told you. I was sick. I don't believe that." He pulled out his phone and showed her a screen. "I looked up the hospital that supposedly treated you. It exists, but when I called, they had no record of any patient named Yuna in their system." Yuna felt cold. This boy was dangerous. Not in the way the Vel were dangerous, but dangerous nonetheless. He was smart, and smart people asked questions. "Medical records are private," she said calmly. "They wouldn't tell a random student anything. Maybe." Tae-ho put his phone away. "But something about you is different. The way you move. The way you watch people. You're not the same person who left 6 months ago. People change. Not like this." He leaned closer. "What happened to you?" For a moment, Yuna considered telling him the truth. She imagined his face when she explained about the aliens, the invasion, the war that humanity never knew it fought. But she pushed the thought away. He would not believe her. And even if he did, the truth would put him in danger. "Nothing happened," she said. "I got sick. I got better. That's all." Tae-ho studied her for a long moment. Then he stepped back. "Fine, keep your secrets. But I'm going to find out eventually." He walked away, and Yuna let out a breath she did not know she was holding. The problems continued. Hana, the popular girl, had decided to make Yuna her favorite target. Every day brought a new insult, a new cruel joke, a new attempt to break her down. Yuna did not understand why. She had never done anything to Hana, but bullies did not need reasons. One day in the cafeteria, it got worse. Yuna was carrying her lunch tray to her usual corner table. The cafeteria was crowded, and she had to weave between other students. She did not see Hana's foot until it was too late. She tripped and fell. The tray flew from her hands. Food splattered across the floor and across her uniform. The cafeteria went silent, then exploded with laughter. Yuna lay on the ground, covered in rice and soup. Above her, Hana smiled sweetly. "Oh no," Hana said in a fake concerned voice. "You should be more careful. Are you still weak from your mysterious illness?" More laughter. Phones came out. People were recording. Something inside Yuna snapped. Not in anger, but in despair. She had faced alien warriors without fear. She had walked through fire and death and come out the other side. But this stupid, pointless cruelty? This broke her in ways the Vel never could. She stood up slowly. Rice fell from her hair. Soup dripped down her face. Everyone was watching, waiting for her reaction. Run, her instincts screamed. Or fight, do something. But she did neither. She simply walked out of the cafeteria, leaving a trail of food behind her. She walked to the bathroom, locked herself in a stall, and cried. She cried for the soldiers who died beside her. She cried for the girl she used to be, the one who could laugh and smile and care about normal things. She cried because she had given everything to save a world that would never know. And now that world was treating her like trash. When the tears stopped, she washed her face and looked in the mirror. Her eyes were red. Her uniform was ruined. But underneath the mess, something hard remained. The same thing that had kept her alive on the mothership. She would not break. She refused to break. That night, she received a different kind of message. Not from Commander Wren, from someone else. The message was in Vel language. She had learned it during her training, and she could still read it easily. Daughter of Earth, we wish to speak. Peace is possible. Orin. She knew that name. He was a diplomat among the Vel, one of the few who had opposed the invasion. After the war ended, he had become the voice of those who wanted peace instead of revenge. She stared at the message for a long time. The war was supposed to be over. Why were they contacting her now? She typed a reply in Vel language. When and where? The answer came immediately. Tomorrow night, Old Factory District. Come alone. Yuna put down her phone and looked out her window at the city lights. Somewhere out there, an alien waited to speak with her. And somewhere in this city, 32 million people lived their lives without knowing how close they had come to extinction. She was tired. She was broken. But she was still the only bridge between two worlds. Tomorrow, she would go to school and pretend to be normal. Tomorrow night, she would meet an alien and try to prevent another war. This was her life now. And she had no idea how much longer she could survive it. The old factory sat at the edge of the city like a forgotten skeleton. Broken windows stared out at the night. Rusted machines stood silent in the darkness. This was the kind of place where bad things happened, and tonight was no exception. Yuna walked through the main entrance with her hands visible. She wore dark clothes and carried no weapons, just as Orin had requested. But her body was a weapon. The Vel had learned that the hard way. A figure emerged from the shadows. It was tall, almost 2 meters, with gray skin that seemed to absorb the moonlight. Its eyes were large and completely black, like pools of oil. 2 thin arms hung at its sides, and its fingers were long enough to wrap around a human skull. Yuna, the creature said. Its voice was like wind through dead leaves. Thank you for coming, Orin. She stopped 3 meters away. Why am I here? The Vel ambassador moved closer. Despite his frightening appearance, there was something gentle in the way he held himself. Something tired. The war is over, he said. But not everyone accepts this. There are those among my people who want revenge. They call themselves the true path, and they believe humanity must be punished for what you did. Yuna had expected this. Wars did not end cleanly. There were always those who could not let go of hatred. How many? She asked. A small group, perhaps 50 warriors. But they are skilled and dedicated. Orin paused. They know about you, Yuna. They know you were the one who destroyed the mothership. They want you dead. She felt a chill run down her spine, but her face remained calm. So you came to warn me? I came to ask for your help. Orin reached into his robe and pulled out a small device. A holographic image appeared, showing a map of the city. The True Path has sent a strike team to Earth. 5 warriors. They landed 3 days ago and have been watching you. They plan to attack soon. Yuna studied the map. The highlighted locations were all places she visited regularly. Her school, her home, the convenience store where she bought snacks. They had been following her, learning her patterns. Why tell me this? She asked. I killed thousands of your people. Why help me? Orin's black eyes seemed to soften. Because the war was wrong. My people were desperate. Our world was dying, and we saw your planet as salvation. But invasion was never the answer. He lowered his head. I could not stop it then, but I can try to stop more death now. For a moment, neither of them spoke. In the silence, Yuna realized something strange. She did not hate this alien. She had hated the Vel during the war, burned with rage against them. But looking at Orin now, she saw only a tired old being trying to make things right. "What do you want me to do?" she asked. "The true path must be stopped before they attack. If they succeed in killing you, they will see it as a sign. More attacks will follow. But if they fail, if their warriors are captured or killed, it may discourage others. You want me to hunt them. I want you to defend yourself. And in doing so, defend the peace we are trying to build." Yuna took the device from his hand. A map was detailed, showing possible hiding locations for the strike team. This was real intelligence, the kind that took time and resources to gather. "Why should I trust you?" she asked. Orin made a sound that might have been a sigh. "You shouldn't. After everything that happened, you have no reason to trust any Vel. But ask yourself this: if I wanted you dead, would I warn you?" He had a point. She pocketed the device and nodded. "I'll handle it. But I need time. Time is something we may not have. Be careful, daughter of Earth." He turned and walked back into the shadows. Within seconds, he was gone, as if he had never been there at all. Yuna stood alone in the abandoned factory, holding information about aliens who wanted to kill her. This was her life now. Secret meetings with extraterrestrials, assassination plots, the fate of interstellar relations resting on her shoulders. And tomorrow, she had a history test. She laughed. It was not a happy sound. The next morning, she went to school like nothing had happened. She sat through classes, took notes she would never read, and tried to focus on normal teenage problems. It was almost impossible. During lunch, Jiho noticed something was wrong. "You look tired," Jiho said. "Did you sleep at all last night?" "Not much." Yuna pushed her food around her plate. "I had things to think about." "What kind of things?" "Alien assassins, interstellar politics, the possibility of dying before graduation. Normal stuff." "Just stuff," she said. "Don't worry about it." Jiho frowned, but did not push. She was a good friend that way. Too good for someone like Yuna, who could never tell her the truth. After lunch, they had group work in history class. The teacher assigned partners randomly, and Yuna found herself paired with Taiho. Of course. The universe had a cruel sense of humor. They sat together at a table in the library. Their assignment was to research a historical war and write a report. Taiho chose the Imjin War, a conflict from the 1500s when Japan invaded Korea. "You seem distracted," Taiho said as they looked through books. "More than usual." "I'm fine." "You're always fine." "It's your favorite word." He set down his book and looked at her directly. "I know you're hiding something. I don't know what it is, but I know it's big." Yuna met his eyes. He was too smart for his own good. In another life, he might have been recruited for the same program that took her. He would have been good at it. "Everyone has secrets," she said. "True, but your secrets are different." He leaned back in his chair. "You know what I noticed? You never sit with your back to a door. You always know exactly how many people are in a room. When someone drops something, you flinch like you're expecting an attack." Her throat felt tight. "Maybe I'm just anxious. Maybe, or maybe something happened to you during those 6 months. Something that changed you." She wanted to tell him. The urge was so strong it almost hurt. She was tired of carrying this weight alone. But she remembered Commander Ren's warnings. Anyone who knew the truth became a target. She would not put that burden on Taiho. "Can we just do the assignment?" she asked Te, who watched her for a moment longer, then nodded. "Fine, but this conversation isn't over." They worked in silence for the rest of the period. That afternoon, During gym class, everything fell apart. The teacher blew a whistle to start the exercise. The sound was sharp and sudden. In Yuna's mind, it became something else. An alarm, a warning siren. The sound that meant the Vel were attacking. Her vision blurred. The gymnasium disappeared. Suddenly, she was back on the mothership, surrounded by fire and screaming in death. She could smell the burning. She could hear the explosions. She could not breathe. She fell to her knees on the gymnasium floor. Students gathered around her, their faces confused and concerned. Someone was calling her name, but it sounded far away. Yuna. Yuna, are you okay? She could not answer. She could not move. Her body had locked up completely. Sweat poured down her face. Her heart was beating so fast, she thought it might explode. This was a panic attack. She knew that intellectually, but knowing did not help. Nothing helped. Eventually, the teacher cleared the other students away and called the nurse. Someone helped Yuna to her feet and led her out of the gymnasium. She walked on shaking legs, barely aware of where she was going. In the nurse's office, she lay on a small bed and stared at the ceiling. The nurse asked questions she did not answer. Eventually, the nurse left her alone. Yuna closed her eyes. She had survived an alien war. She had single-handedly stopped an invasion. She had saved billions of lives. And now she could not even handle a whistle. That night, she did not check the alien tracker. She did not prepare for the coming attack. She just lay in bed, curled into a ball, and wondered if saving the world had been worth it. The answer, at that moment, felt like no. The school counselor's office was small and warm. Plants sat on the windowsill. Soft music played from a speaker. Everything was designed to make students feel safe. Yuna sat in a chair across from Miss Bora, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes and a patient smile. After the panic attack in gym class, the school had required her to attend counseling. Yuna had expected to hate it. Instead, she found herself grateful for the quiet. "You don't have to talk if you don't want to," Miss Bora said. "We can just sit here." Yuna looked at her hands, the same hands that had killed so many. "I don't know how to talk about it." "That's okay. Many people feel that way." Ms. Bora sipped her tea. "Can I ask you something? When you have those episodes, what do you see?" "Fire, death, the faces of dying soldiers." The moment when she pressed the button and ended thousands of lives to save billions more. She saw all of it every time. "Bad things," she whispered. "Things I can't forget." Ms. Bora nodded slowly. "Whatever happened during your time away, it clearly affected you deeply. You don't have to tell me the details, but I want you to know something." She leaned forward. "You are not broken, Yuna. You are surviving. There's a difference." Yuna felt tears forming in her eyes. She blinked them away. "It doesn't feel like surviving. It feels like drowning." "I understand. And that feeling is valid." Miss Bora handed her a tissue. "But the fact that you're here, sitting in this chair, trying to get through each day, that takes incredible strength. Most people never have to deal with even a fraction of what you're carrying." If only she knew, Yuna thought. If only anyone knew. They talked for another 30 minutes. Miss Bora did not push or pry. She simply listened, offering small words of comfort when needed. By the end, Yuna felt something she had not felt in months. Hope. Just a tiny bit. But it was there. After the session, she walked to her locker and found Jiho waiting. "Hey," Jiho said. Her voice was gentle. "How are you feeling?" "Better, I think." Jiho nodded. Then, without warning, she stepped forward and hugged Yuna tightly. "I was so scared when you collapsed in gym class. I didn't know what to do." Yuna stood frozen for a moment. She had forgotten what physical comfort felt like. Then, slowly, she raised her arms and hugged Jiho back. "I'm sorry," Yuna said into her friend's shoulder, "for being so distant, for pushing you away. You don't have to apologize." Jiho pulled back and looked at her. "I don't know what happened to you. Maybe I'll never know. But you're still my best friend, Yuna. Whatever you're going through, you don't have to go through it alone." For the first time in months, Yuna smiled. A real smile, not the fake one she had practiced. "Thank you, Jiho. That's what friends are for." Jiho grinned. "Now, come on. The school festival is this weekend, and I need help with our class booth." The school festival. Yuna had completely forgotten about it. In her old life, she would have been excited. Now it seemed like a silly distraction. But looking at Jiho's hopeful face, she decided to try. "Okay," she said. "I'll help." That night, Yuna finally checked the alien tracker. The 5 Vel warriors were still in the city, and their patterns had changed. They were moving closer to the school. They were preparing to attack. She knew what she had to do. The next 3 days were chaos. During the day, she helped Jiho prepare for the festival. They built a food booth, made decorations, and practiced cooking simple snacks. Yuna found herself laughing at Jiho's terrible jokes and enjoying the simple work. It felt almost normal. At night, she hunted. She used the tracker to follow the Vel warriors through the city. They were careful, moving only in darkness, avoiding cameras and crowds. But Yuna was better. She had trained with the best soldiers humanity had to offer. She knew how to be invisible. On the second night, she found their hiding place, an abandoned warehouse near the river. She watched from a rooftop as they gathered inside, planning their attack. 5 warriors, just as Oren had said. They were armed with energy weapons, capable of killing dozens of humans in seconds. She could call Commander Ren. She could request backup. But by the time help arrived, the Vel might already be gone. She had to handle this herself. On the 3rd night, she made her move. She entered the warehouse through a broken window on the 2nd floor. The Vel were gathered below, studying a holographic map of her school. They were planning to attack during the festival, when crowds would provide maximum casualties. Yuna dropped down from the rafters and landed, silently behind the nearest warrior. Before it could react, she struck. A precise blow to the nerve cluster at the base of its skull. The alien fell without a sound. The others turned. 4 against 1. Bad odds for most humans. For Yuna, it was almost fair. The fight was brutal and fast. Energy blasts scorched the walls as she dodged and weaved. She used the environment, throwing debris, creating distractions. One warrior went down when she collapsed a shelf on top of it. Another fell when she used its own weapon against it. The last 2 were smarter. They worked together, trying to corner her. But Yuna had fought entire squads of Vel during the war. She knew their tactics, their weaknesses, their fear. She let them think they had her trapped. Then she attacked from an angle they did not expect, moving faster than they could track. 2 more strikes. 2 more bodies. When it was over, she stood alone in the warehouse, surrounded by unconscious aliens. Her clothes were torn. She had a burn on her arm where an energy blast had grazed her. But she was alive. She sent a message to Commander Ren, package ready for pickup. 5 units. Then she limped out of the warehouse and made her way home. The festival was the next day. Yuna arrived at school exhausted, her arm bandaged under her sleeve. But she had promised Jiho, and she would keep that promise. The schoolyard was transformed. Colorful booths lined the pathways. Music played from speakers. Students and families wandered everywhere, laughing and eating and enjoying themselves. It was beautiful in a simple way. Jiho grabbed her arm and pulled her toward their booth. "You're late. We have customers already." For the next few hours, Yuna worked alongside her friend. She served food, made change, and talked to customers. Her arm hurt. She was tired down to her bones. But every time she saw Jiho's happy face, it felt worth it. Halfway through the day, Taiyo stopped by the booth. "I heard you were helping out," he said. "I didn't believe it." "Believe it?" Yuna handed him a snack. "On the house." He took it, but did not leave. "You seem different today." Lighter, somehow. She thought about the 5 Vel warriors, now in government custody. About the attack that would never happen. About the lives she had saved without anyone knowing. "Maybe I am," she said. Taiyo studied her for a moment and nodded. "It's a good look on you." He walked away, disappearing into the crowd. Later, as the sun set and the festival wound down, Yuna sat on the school steps and watched the lights flicker on. Jiho sat beside her, tired but happy. "Thanks for being here," Jiho said. "I know it wasn't easy." Yuna looked at her friend, at the simple joy on her face, at the peaceful world around them, a world that had no idea how close it had come to disaster. "It wasn't," she admitted, "but I'm glad I came." Jiho leaned her head on Yuna's shoulder. "Welcome back, Yuna, for real this time." For real this time. Maybe that was possible. Maybe she could find a way to live in both worlds, the secret one and the normal one. Maybe saving the world and being human were not mutually exclusive. She did not have all the answers. But for the first time since she returned, she believed she might find them. The stars came out overhead. Somewhere among them, the Vel were rebuilding their civilization. Somewhere on Earth, Commander Ren was cleaning up her mess. And here, on these steps, Yuna was just a girl at a festival with her best friend. It was enough. For now, it was enough. 3 months after the festival, Yuna received a message she had been waiting for. The war is officially over. Peace treaty signed. Your service is complete. Thank you for everything. She read the message 5 times, sitting alone in her room. Complete. Such a small word for such a big thing. Her service as a soldier, as a spy, as humanity's secret weapon, was finished. She was free. But what did freedom mean for someone like her? She thought about everything she had been through. The training that broke her body and rebuilt it stronger. The battles that scarred her mind. The moment on the mothership when she chose to save billions of strangers over saving herself. She had given up her childhood, her innocence, her chance at a normal life. And now it was over. She put down her phone and looked at the homework on her desk. Math problems. Easy stuff compared to calculating orbital trajectories or hacking alien systems. But she still struggled with it sometimes. Her brain had been rewired for war, and rewiring it for peace was taking time. The next day at school, something had changed. She felt lighter, like a weight had been lifted from her shoulders. The secret was still there, but it was not as heavy anymore. During lunch, she found Jiho at their usual table. But this time, she also saw Taiyo sitting nearby, reading a book. On impulse, she waved him over. Taiyo looked surprised. "You're inviting me to sit with you?" "Don't make it weird," Yuna said. "Just come." He gathered his things and joined them. Jiho looked between them with curious eyes, but said nothing. For a while, they ate in comfortable silence. Then Yuna took a breath and spoke. "I want to tell you both something," she said. "Not everything. I can't tell you everything. But something." Jiho set down her chopsticks. Taiyo closed his book. They both waited. During those 6 months I was gone, I wasn't sick. I was? She searched for the right words. I was somewhere else, doing something dangerous, something important. I can't explain what it was, but it changed me. It hurt me in ways that are hard to describe. She paused. Neither of them spoke. I'm different now. I'm probably always going to be different. But I'm trying to find my way back. To being a person. To being your friend. She looked at Jiho. To being the Yuna you remember. Jiho's eyes were wet. Yuna, you don't have to tell us anything else, Taiho said quietly. We can see you're carrying something heavy, but you don't have to carry it alone. That's what friends are for, Jiho added. Even if we don't know the whole story. Yuna felt something warm bloom in her chest. Acceptance. It was not the same as understanding, but it was enough. Thank you, she whispered. Both of you. After that day, things began to change. Yuna started participating more in class. She raised her hand to answer questions. She joined study groups. She even laughed at jokes sometimes, real laughs that surprised everyone, including herself. The other students noticed. The whispers about her strange behavior grew quieter. She continued seeing Ms. Bora for counseling. They talked about coping strategies, about processing trauma, about building a future. Yuna could not share the specifics of what had happened, but she shared the feelings. The guilt, the fear, the loneliness. Ms. Bora helped her work through all of it. One afternoon, Hana approached her in the hallway. Yuna tensed, expecting another attack. But Hana's face was different this time. She looked uncertain, almost nervous. Can I talk to you? Hana asked. Why? Hana shifted her weight. I heard about what you said to my friend last week. About how you hoped she would never have to deal with real problems. Yuna remembered. One of Hana's followers had been mocking another student, and Yuna had stepped in. She had not been angry. She had just been honest. I wasn't trying to be mean, Yuna said. I know. That's what bothers me. Hana crossed her arms. You used to be nobody. I could say whatever I wanted, and you would just take it. But now you're different. You don't care about anything I do. It's like I'm not even worth your attention. Yuna looked at her. This girl who had made her life miserable. This girl who had pushed her to the edge of violence. She could hate her. She probably should hate her. But Yuna was tired of hate. She had seen what hate could do. It had driven the Vel to invasion. It had fueled the True Path's desire for revenge. Hate was a poison that destroyed everyone it touched. Hana, she said calmly, you have no idea what I've been through. You have no idea what real problems look like. And honestly, I hope you never have to find out. But I need you to know something. Hana waited. I'm not going to fight you. I'm not going to hate you. But I'm also not going to let you hurt me anymore. If you want to keep being cruel, that's your choice. But it won't affect me. Not anymore. She walked away without looking back. Behind her, Hana stood in the hallway, speechless. It was the first time Yuna had ever seen her without a comeback. Weeks passed. Winter turned to spring. The world kept spinning. Yuna received occasional messages from Commander Ren. The peace with the Vel was holding. Orin had become an ambassador to Earth, working to build bridges between their species. The True Path had been dismantled after their warriors failed to return. There were still challenges ahead, but for now, the galaxy was quiet. And Yuna was just a high school student again. She still had bad days. She still had nightmares. She still flinched at loud noises and watched exits out of habit. Those scars would take years to heal, if they ever healed at all, but she was learning to live with them. On the last day of the school year, Yuna sat in class and waited for her final math test. The teacher handed out the papers. Students groaned and began working. Yuna looked at the problems. Numbers and equations stared back at her. 6 months ago, this would have been impossible. 3 months ago, she would have frozen with anxiety. Today, she simply picked up her pencil and started writing. She did not know all the answers. She had to guess on some problems. But she did not panic. She did not shut down. She just did her best. When the bell rang, she handed in her test and walked out of the classroom. Jiho was waiting by the door. How did it go? Jiho asked. Yuna shrugged. I think I passed. Maybe. Good enough for me. Jiho grabbed her arm. Come on. Taihyo is waiting by the gate. We're going to get ice cream. They walked through the hallways together, surrounded by students celebrating the end of the year. Someone was crying. Someone was laughing. Someone was already making plans for summer-normal teenage things. Simple human moments. Yuna smiled. She had saved the world. She had defeated an alien invasion. She had stopped assassins and negotiated peace treaties and survived things that would break most people. But this, right here, walking with her friends towards something as simple as ice cream, this was the real victory. The universe had sent its worst. Humanity had answered. But being human was not about winning wars. It was about getting up each morning and trying again. It was about connecting with others, even when it was hard. It was about finding reasons to smile in a world that often gave you reasons to cry. Yuna had learned that lesson the hard way. She would carry the scars of that education forever, but she would also carry the light dot at the school gate. Taihyo was waiting with his usual serious expression. When he saw them coming, something like a smile crossed his face. Took you long enough, he said. We're worth the wait, Jiho replied cheerfully. The three of them walked out together, leaving the school behind. Ahead of them, the summer stretched out like a promise. Yuna did not know what the future held. Maybe the Vel would return. Maybe new threats would emerge. Maybe she would be called to fight again, but that was tomorrow's problem. Today, she was just Yuna, a girl who had saved the world, survived high school, and found her way back to being human. And that, she decided, was enough. The sun was bright. Her friends were beside her. The ice cream shop was just around the corner. For the first time in a very long time, Yuna was not just surviving, she was living.